This year has been low for me and my family. Not only have we moved from one country to another, but in the span of 3 years, we have had to go through 4 moves. The first one in search of a better life, the second due to lack of money, the third to get closer to my mother's family, and the last because the tenant sold the house with us still living in it. And now you may wonder, why the hell am I telling you this? What does it have to do with the title of the story? Did I eat a clickbait? I beg you, reader, please look over my story until the end. As bad as it sounds, men like my neighbor are everywhere, and it is more than necessary not to ignore situations like this. The moving is just a bit of context to introduce you to my mental health problems. I won't give you too many details, but so many movings and changes have taken their toll on my head. I went through a very low patch, suffering from suicidal thoughts and anxiety attacks. Several times this has culminated in me running away from home, and once they even called the police. My parents' fear that something would happen to me forced them not only to obviously seek professional help but also to be with me at all times. I never slept alone, was never home alone, always had the bathroom door ajar, and under no circumstances could I ever go outside without their supervision. It's not that I had that many friends back then, so this past measure never bothered me much. Months passed, and my mental health, therefore my physical health as well, improved infinitely. Little by little the supervision over me was lowering, and my social skills were curiously flourishing. Everything was going incredibly great, too good to be true. I wish I wasn't right. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of policemen knocked on my door to talk to my mother, and no, it wasn't for me this time. They were looking for a guy who supposedly lived in our neighborhood. I never saw the picture, but according to my mom's description, he was a sleazy, bald, old guy with a perverted, demonic look. Needless to say, we were scared to death. One thing that is important to keep in mind is that I am not an only child. In fact, I have many siblings, of which only 3 live with me, all sisters. My mother had a talk with us about being extra careful. She also increased supervision over me. Again, the police hanged around for a couple of days, shutting the operation, when no evidence was found. They'll never know the pain I would have saved if they have looked for a little longer. Weeks went by and little by little we forgot about it, and everything went back to normal, as if those policemen had never knocked on our door, and nor my mother had never seen that picture. The paranoia of feeling that man's eyes every moment was dissipating as the time went by. Only when fooling around with my friends, I was reminded of that episode. I thought we were completely safe until exactly 1 year from now. Like almost every day, I went to do my exercise routine in the pool, unaware that my life would make a 180 loop in just a few hours. I swam a bit here and there. Some older gentleman, probably English, approached to the pool, and I knew it was time to go. It was cold anyway, and I don't being surrounded by strange men on my own. I dried my hair, put on a towel, and headed home. It wasn't very far away from the public pool, just a 5-minute walk. If it wasn't for the lady who asked me for help on the way, I could have maybe make it in 2. She was probably in her late 50s, slim figure, gray hair, and dark circles around her eyes. You could tell the poor woman was very tired, almost dead in life. With a surprisingly sweet voice, she asked me if I could help her with the supermarket bags. I couldn't refuse. To thank me for my job, she invited me over to her house for tea. I don't know if it was out of pity or politeness, but I ended up accepted to have tea with her. I can't recall why though. It is not something I do often, and oh my god how much I regret it. She offered me cookies and tea before we started chatting. She was not only kind but incredibly smart. She had studied plastic surgery at one of the most prestigious universities in the country. She had been married for 35 years and was mother 3 wonderful children, the youngest being my age. When I started to get dark, I politely said goodbye. She got up and approached to me. Suddenly, with her thin arms, she hugged me tightly, very tightly, too tightly. In a few seconds, everything went pitch black around me. From that moment, everything is confusing and blurry. I had no clue of what happened or how much time had passed. I was disoriented, thirsty, and hungry. There was no light, all silent, and humidity was unbearable. I really couldn't tell if my eyes were open or close. It would have been an hour or 2 before I heard a noise. I don't really know. I lost track of time. As soon as I opened my eyes, footsteps on the wood could be heard, slowly and cautiously getting closer and closer. The door opened. A black silhouette could be seen moving towards it was her. Definitely her, more tired and skinnier than I remember, but her with no doubt. I bet she had been crying. I tried to stand up, but my legs and arms were entirely numb. I swear that I could move them just a few moments ago. The woman came up to me with her bony figure and tire stand. I've just realized that, despite knowing so much about her life, I didn't know something so basic as her name. Pretty sure everything she told me was a lie. She walked towards me, trembling and cautiously, like when you're walking by a stray dog. I might have bitten her if I had the chance though. He knelt down, few feet from me of course. It took me off guard, but when she saw my face she started crying uncontrollably. "Where am I?" I exclaimed, more scared than I was before. "What's going on? Who are you? What am I doing here? Please don't hurt me. Think of your son." She ignored me and started crying even harder, if it was even possible, her body trembling with each sob. "Don't dare to come out," I heard her say, still sobbing. "Please don't ask for help. Don't make any noise, I beg you, or he will kill us both." I wasn't understanding anything. I asked and implored, but she only wailed. Our fear was contagious, and I began crying too. I knew that whatever the situation was, it was serious and bad, really bad. I tried to keep these thoughts away, but something told me I would no longer see my parents nor my siblings. I would no longer see my friends. I would no longer be anyone. My life was over. Everything was over. All I had left was to mourn for what I would have been if that crying lady never brought me here. We stayed like that, crying in silence for a while. Suddenly her murmurs, almost imperceptible, ceased. She stared at me for seconds that seemed like hours. "Stay silent, and maybe we'll make it alive." She got up as if nothing had happened and left. I was left into pure darkness. I didn't know it at the time, but it would be the last time I would see light. I don't know how I didn't go crazy. Maybe it was the routine or something in that woman's words that gave me hope. She said I could live. I hoped that she wasn't lying. Now I could only obey her. My days were filled with plans and fantasies of escaping. Thankfully, I now could move my hands, but still not my feet. Every time I fell asleep, a tray of what I think was food would appear in my lap. I never knew what I ate or drank. Curiosity and hunger always overcame caution. I never ate enough. The plates were small, and I never got used to the pain of visceral hunger nor the cold food. It always seemed off to me that I never smelled bad. With that dampness and lack of cleanliness, I should have been completely rotten by then. I tried not thinking much about it though. Having a stranger washing me every day is not a very pleasant thing to imagine. Since the day when we burst into tears, I swore to myself that I would escape, no matter what. Someday I would know the truth, and someday, perhaps not too far away, I would see my family and the light of day once again. However, I keep wondering who is that man the lady mentioned before, the one who wants to harm us, whose voice I might hear every day without fail. I don't think he knows about me yet. I even think that woman is protecting me, hiding me. She seemed frightened to death when I last saw her. I must escape, quickly. Something's telling me that the worst fate I can face is him finding out about my existence.